What is up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Firstly, thanks for viewing today's video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like. If there's anything that you feel that I've left out or that you'd like to add, you can comment it down below. If you enjoy the content overall, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on those notification bells, all of the things that YouTube loves. Today's video will be a follow-up of the previous video, which was a little segment on UEFA's team of the season for this year. I will link that video down below in the description, so for anybody who has not seen that video, you are more than welcome to click on it. But without any further ado, let's get into today's video. So firstly, you can see that I've changed the formation because I just felt that the 4-3-3 formation that UEFA refused to change wasn't really a true reflection of who performed fantastically this season. I feel the problem with the 4-3-3 is there were positions where there weren't really players who excelled, and that sort of resulted in a situation where UEFA had to put in players into positions who aren't really natural in those positions, just to say, okay, those players were represented in our team, but they're completely out of position. So in theory, if that team had to get out on a pitch, those players would be so uncomfortable where they are. So the first thing I did was change the formation. Instead of going with a 4-3-3, I went with a kind of a 3-5-2 formation, because that was the formation used by both Inter Milan and Manchester City in the Champions League final. It is also, I feel, the formation where you can put the most outstanding performers of the season into this team, and they can still be represented fairly. So firstly, as you can see, I've changed the goalkeeper. I don't have Thibaut Courtois. Instead, I've got Onana. I think Onana's been fantastic for Inter Milan this season. Obviously, he was a new recruit, and a lot of people would have been surprised when he got the nod as opposed to Samir Handanovic between the sticks for Inter in the Champions League. But Onana's played the most matches, I think, in the Champions League this season with 13 out of all the goalkeepers. And I think he had 8 or 7 clean sheets, which is more than Thibaut Courtois in both stats. So for me, I can't understand how Courtois got that one. Perhaps he produced more saves. But I also think that the opposition that Onana came up against was, I'm gonna say, of a higher caliber than any teams that Real Madrid may have had to face this season. I mean, Onana had to deal with Bayern Munich, Barcelona, AC Milan, and then Manchester City. And throughout all of that, he didn't embarrass himself. He didn't. I don't think there were any fumbles. And I think just having a solid keeper allows the rest of your team to look so much more solid defensively. Speaking of defense, in my back three, I've got Bastoni from Inter Milan. Obviously, I think Bastoni is a no-brainer this season. Bastoni is still fairly young, so there's still so much room for improvement and so much time for him to improve on things, but he's already looking so good. His reading of the game is fantastic. His distribution is fantastic. I think Bastoni's been a very important part of why Inter Milan got to where they did get this season. Next to him, at the heart of our defense, we've got Ruben Dias from Manchester City. Something I feel that Ruben Dias brought to City this season was that leadership aspect. After Vincent Kompany left Manchester City, it sort of created a void. Not saying that City didn't have leaders, because they probably did. They still won a lot of things, but I think Ruben Dias was the kind of player they needed at the back to just sort of be more vocal and more motivating and a bit more demanding from the players up front as well. They needed that kind of leader, and Ruben Dias did it perfectly this season. On the right of my centre-back pairing, or centre-back trio, I've got Kyle Walker. I think it's fair to put Kyle Walker here because with him being on the right, it means he can still go up, he can still kind of contribute going forward, but it still allows him to put his fantastic defensive qualities on display as well, which is something that I think Kyle Walker's really improved on lately. In the previous video, I did say that Kyle Walker's made some clumsy challenges in some very bad positions and in very bad areas of the pitch, and he's really changed from that. He knows exactly when to get in now, and I think also putting Kyle Walker on this end of the pitch, like I said, allows him to go up front, and he can rotate with players in front of him. So if anybody out there feels they're a bit tired, they can sort of drop back into this position, and it allows him to contribute more going forward, and to be a bit more free in attacking, as opposed to where he is right now. But I think at centre back, I think Kyle Walker would still be able to do that position justice because of his pace as well. He'd be up against very pacey wingers. We're looking at players like Rafael Leao, Vinicius Jr., and I think he'd be able to silence them and keep them quiet for most of the match. Moving on to our midfield, I've got a double pivot as well, in the form of Nicolo Barella from Inter Milan and Rodri from Manchester City. Now, Barella missed out on a spot in UEFA's Team of the Season, which I think was a great injustice. Barella's distribution has been fantastic for Inter this season. A lot of Inter's creativity comes from Barella, not just in terms of creating opportunities, but also in terms of putting them away. Barella's diagonal balls are fantastic, and I think for UEFA to have left him out is pretty unfair. Barella's also very good defensively. He's the kind of player who can cover for you going forward and tracking back as well. And I just think, he's exactly what you need in terms of balance in that midfield. Partnering next to him would be Rodri, because Rodri, I think, defensively, I think I haven't seen a better holding midfielder this season in European football. But Rodri's also proven that he can go up front, he can get goals when it's necessary, and I think it works to his advantage that everybody looks at Rodri and just sees a defensive midfielder. They sort of underestimate his distribution as well, and his shooting, and he's punished teams for that error. So I think Rodri, obviously, he deserves his spot as well. On left wing, I've got Vinicius Jr. in a kind of left wing back, left midfield kind of position. Vinicius Jr. has been fantastic on that wing this season, both domestically and in European football. I think the future of football is in safe hands when it comes to Vinicius Jr. He's definitely picked up the mantle left vacant by Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid. Vinicius Jr. gives you so much going forward. He's so quick, he's so tricky, he's a great goal scorer. He's the kind of player where if he's running at a defense, there's automatically alarm bells going off in their minds. So I think Vinicius Jr. is one of the players that has to be in the squad. On the right-hand side of midfield, in a similar position but just on the opposite end, we've got Federico Di Marco from Inter Milan. Now, Di Marco was put in UEFA's Team of the Season at left back, and I feel that's so unfair because Di Marco's been fantastic on the right wing. The partnership between, I think it's Di Marco and Martinez at Inter, has just been phenomenal this season. Di Marco is so quick, he's so creative, but I think the best part about Di Marco is those long balls. And if you've got a player like Di Marco shooting those balls across to Vinicius Jr. on the other end of the pitch, Vinicius Jr.'s pace is just going to take teams completely out of the picture altogether. Defenders are going to be left sprawling on the pitch, unable to keep up with any counterattacks that these two could come up with. So I think Di Marco has to be put on the right wing, and I think having Kyle Walker behind him sort of makes things easier for both of them because they can both play in both of these positions. So if either one of them is tired or is out of position, then the other one can just cover for him because it's still sort of in his natural playing space. So I think the chemistry between Kyle Walker and Di Marco would also be something that would be nice to watch. And just to see how the two of them would cover for one another, both going forward and tracking back. In a kind of number 10 central playmaker role, I've got Kevin De Bruyne. So De Bruyne would have that entire area in the attacking third to himself to either distribute it on either wing to Di Marco or Vinicius Jr., or to play it up front to wing duo. De Bruyne has led the way in terms of assists in the Champions League this season. I still think that he's one of the best, if not the best, creative midfielder in Europe right now. I think it's just sad that De Bruyne wasn't able to play the entire final of the Champions League, but he has played a crucial role in City acquiring the treble this season in the Champions League, in the FA Cup, and in the English Premier League. He's been so crucial for them. There's been a lot said about the relationship between him and Guardiola, especially considering that one day where the two of them had it out with one another. But I think that's exactly what was necessary. I think sometimes De Bruyne can be a bit on the, I wouldn't say arrogant, but on the careless side when it comes to just, putting matches to bed. And I think Guardiola probably just got a bit annoyed about that, and that was probably why he headed off with De Bruyne. But De Bruyne took it like a champ, came back and just performed fantastically. And I think De Bruyne's most important performance this season was probably against Arsenal in the Premier League to sort of salvage the Premier League for City, and to take Arsenal completely out of the title race. Up front, in front of De Bruyne, I've got Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan, playing a sort of supporting striker role. Now, Martinez usually would be a number 9, but because he's played alongside true out-and-out number 9s like Romelu Lukaku and Eden Dzeko at Inter Milan, he sort of learned how to play more of a supporting striker role, kind of like a hybrid between a number 9 and a number 10 role. So his distribution has been really good this season, counter-attacking. He's not the fastest, but he knows exactly when to use his pace, when to release the ball, when to take shots from range, or when to run at a goalkeeper or at a defense. I think Martinez has really matured. Perhaps he didn't have the best World Cup, that is true, but I think in terms of his club performances this season, Inter owe a lot of their success this season to Lautaro Martinez. And then, of course, as our number 9, we've got the leading scorer in the Champions League this season, the man who has broken so many records in England in terms of goals scored, Erling Haaland. I think what I like about Haaland is he's able to score with his head, he's able to run at players, he's able to take fantastic shots and score incredible goals. I think the only thing that I still think that Haaland needs to improve on, as I said in the previous video, is his distribution. His passing maybe needs a little bit of work, but I think if Haaland is going to continue as an out-and-out number 9, I think he should be okay. His job is mostly to score goals, and that is exactly what Erling Haaland does best. And I think if you look at my team as opposed to UEFA's team, I'm not going to say UEFA's team is biased, but I do think my team is a little bit more balanced. I think it respects Inter a little bit more, because I think that was something that was blatantly obvious to me in UEFA's team of the season. There was a lot of respect for Manchester City. I think there was like 7 players from City in UEFA's team of the season, but I don't remember seeing that many players from Inter, apart from Bastoni and Di Marco, and I just felt like that was a little bit unfair. Okay guys, and that's it for our video and our UEFA team of the season for 2022 and 2023. There's a lot of players that I would have loved to put in here, who I feel were exceptional this season as well. I think players like Calhanoglu from Inter, Gundogan from Manchester City, I think Rodrigo from Real Madrid has also been a standout player. But like I said, you can only fit in 11 players, and I felt that I had to go with a squad that was both balanced, fair, but also a good representation of who was the best at what they did this season. But yeah, you guys are more than welcome to comment down below if you think perhaps I've forgotten anybody, or if I've given too much credit to somebody. Perhaps my formation is wrong. Whatever improvements or modifications you guys feel would be appropriate, feel free to put it down in the comments below. If you liked the video and enjoyed the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn those notification bells on. And in closing, I'd just like to wish all of the fathers watching this video a very, very happy Father's Day. Don't forget how blessed you are to have your dads, guys. It is a true gift, and spoil them while you have them, because dads are a true gift. Once again, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and we hope to see you here again very, very soon. Stay safe out there.